Jujutsu Kaisen has just released its 256th chapter, and Gege Akutami has incited some heart-pumping feels with it. The Shinjuku showdown, specifically the ongoing duel between the Jujutsu Sorcerers and the King of Curses, Ryoma and Sukuna, has been going on for more than half a year as of this video, and this installment might finally be the culmination of everything that JJK has been building up since the beginning of the arc. Then again, this is Jujutsu Kaisen we're talking about. Akutami-sensei might just be preparing to pull the rug under us, just as he's done time and time again. So what's in store for you within the pages of Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 256? Stay with us until the end of this video as we talk about everything you can expect from the latest installment in Gege Akutami's modern classic shonen manga series. What to expect in Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 256. The 255th installment of JJK finally gave us some much-needed plot movement as we saw Miguel and LaRue, the former Geto generals who formed an alliance with Japan's Jujutsu Sorcerers, enter the fray to continue whittling away at Sukuna's cursed energy. We even witnessed the return of Yuji Itadori and Maki Zenin to the battlefield, two combatants whom we saw, well, get knocked out by the King of Curses a few episodes ago. Even the eldest Death Womb painting in Yuji's elder half-brother Choso has entered the proverbial ring to aid Jujutsu High's stalwart heroes in their current plight, effectively putting Sukuna in a 5-on-1 matchup. The end of Chapter 255 ended on a foreboding cliffhanger though, as the cornered King of Curses unleashed a black flash that hit LaRue straight in the gut, prompting the rest of the Jujutsu Sorcerers to figure out that Sukuna might be gearing up for another comeback beatdown against them. Now, we've only known Black Flash as this sort of relatively powerful and effective technique that Jujutsu Sorcerers and Curse users can employ outside of any given innate or inherited skills. But the latest chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen gives us a much more detailed view of not just how devastating it could be, but how complex a curse technique it truly is. Right at the start of the chapter, we see a flashback to a time back when Gojo Satoru was alive, as he explains the nitty-gritty of Black Flash. First off, he admits that even he himself doesn't possess the aptitude to make use of the technique consecutively, even with the help of his 6 eyes. Gojo goes on to explain that Black Flash is a curse technique that distorts space itself when a physical strike and cursed energy consecutively lands on a target a mere 0.000001 seconds apart from each other. Ironic, really, considering that Gojo was technically a master of space and time. The late special grade Jujutsu Sorcerer thinks this explanation doesn't fully detail what Black Flash entails though, and he fleshes out the whole concept of Black Flash by saying that it's basically having the ability to perfectly balance and control one's cursed energy that ultimately charges up your fist and allows the same energy to crash into your target. In true Gojo fashion, he says that only he has the power to perfectly balance cursed energy like that, but there's one caveat, and it's the same reason why he couldn't spam it. In order to properly use Black Flash, you have to adjust the balance of your cursed energy on a variety of factors, such as your physical condition, your surroundings, and even the temperature and humidity of the environment. In the end, Gojo concludes that the only reason that he can use Black Flash is because of pure dumb luck. He charges up his fist with cursed energy and just hopes for the best, which explains why he couldn't perform it consecutively the way Nanami Kento or Yuji Itadori does. But, Gojo being Gojo, he couldn't help but add that aside from the fact that he's basically tossing a coin whenever he uses Black Flash, he's never had a reason to use it. All his enemies up to that point were so subpar that Gojo didn't feel the need to try and test if he could try landing the technique consecutively. We then fast forward to the present, right in the thick of the Jujutsu Sorcerers battle with Sukuna at the heart of Shinjuku. Maki Zenin notes that the Black Flash Sukuna just unleashed was his second one today. The first was the one that knocked her out when she first faced off against the King of Curses. The sword-wielding Jujutsu High sophomore also notices Miguel and LaRue, concluding that they're probably the backup Yuji mentioned when they were making preparations for the Shinjuku showdown. Even Choso shares the same sentiments before solidifying his resolve and concluding that they'll be SOL if Sukuna manages to fully recover his lost energy. There's one curious little kink here though, because even Yuji isn't familiar with Miguel and LaRue. As for the two former Jujutsu terrorists turned ally, Miguel immediately realizes that Sukuna's gradually recovering from his cursed energy. This isn't what he signed up for, so he decides to hoof it out of Shinjuku and not get himself killed once the King of Curses is fully recharged. The blood-bending cursed womb death painting wastes no time and rushes Sukuna with his little bro Yuji and Maki. Choso crafts a staple-shaped bar with his blood and hands it over to the pink-haired Jujutsu High freshman, while Maki distracts Sukuna with her spit soul katana. Yuji charges right toward the King of Curses and jams the blood bar through the wall behind his opponent, trapping Sukuna long enough for Choso to drop down with his hands clasped so he can release the piercing blood right through the ancient curse user's skull. But Sukuna is too fast. He breaks free from confinement and dashes away before Choso's trademark blood arrow could touch him. Maki rushes in from behind before the King of Curses could fully recover and drives her sword through his chest. But as we'd expect, it's almost impossible to creep up on the King of Curses, as he catches Maki's blade before it could pierce his heart. Sukuna then follows up with a barrage of cleaves that forces the heavenly restriction-bound Jujutsu Sorcerer to go on the defensive. The two combatants then parry and slash their way several feet above the ground, even surprising Choso with how they can basically use the air beneath them as footing. Maki and Sukuna's clash ends when the ancient curse user charges up his fist with cursed energy and unleashes another black flash. Maki can't believe that Sukuna still has the juice to perform the technique, much less for a third time in a row. She barely evades the black flash, but she's immediately hit by a salvo of invisible slashes thanks to Sukuna's signature cleave technique. Maki notices that Sukuna is gradually regaining his strength the moment she feels the cuts on her body. From a distance, Choso provides some much-needed support to the Zenin warrior as he unleashes supernova all around Sukuna, making the droplets of blood he peppered around their opponent explode. Sukuna counters by sending a couple of cleaves toward the bloodbending curse user, but this is just a feint, as the King of Curses rushes behind Choso even before the invisible slashes can land. The most powerful curse user in history hurls the Death Wound painting into a wall, and before Choso can even recoil, Sukuna lunges at him with another black flash, his fourth one, basically tying Yuji's record for consecutive black flashes released. Sukuna, however, is shocked to discover that the Bloodbender is still alive, as Choso managed to greatly reduce his technique's impact by forming an armor made of blood around his midsection. The King of Curses wouldn't be able to follow up on his attack, as Yuji hits him with a solid right hook that sends him sliding some distance away. Choso sees this and thinks to himself that they may still have a chance to win this bout, as long as his little brother can land his cursed energy-depleting punches on Sukuna. Big Bro Choso literally tags out of the bout after encouraging Yuji to put pressure on their enemy. Meanwhile, Miguel carries a battered LaRue and tells his partner that they're going to retreat. LaRue's an absolute unit though, as he basically tells Miguel that he didn't hear no bell, so he's gonna stay on the battlefield and fight. Yuji and Sukuna continue to clash in the meantime, as the two go hand to hand and crash through the rubble in the middle of Tokyo's entertainment district. The King of Curses manages to grab Yuji by the pants and pull him close to deal a devastating blow to his midsection. Sukuna then grabs the pink-haired protagonist by the collar to deal more damage to the boy, but Yuji counters with a tight clinch. He's not going to waste time peppering Sukuna with solid knees and elbows though. Instead, Yuji clasps his hands together right in front of his opponent. Meanwhile, an almost unconscious Choso ruminates on the fact that Yuji hasn't mastered Convergence, the base for all blood-based curse techniques, just yet, which is why he needs to look after his little brother. Unbeknownst to Choso, however, Yuji's about to prove him wrong some distance away, as the Jujutsu High Freshman shouts the words piercing blood before releasing the same kind of solid black-red arrow that his older brother's known for. Yuji's blood arrow wings Sukuna by the lower lip as he barely dodges the technique. At the same time, he's forced to push away Yuji, but not before hitting the boy with a cleave. There's just no way you can convince us that Gege Akutami isn't a fan of mixed martial arts at this point, as this confrontation between Yuji and Sukuna has undeniable shades of Lawler vs. McDonald. The Itadori boy balls up his right fist and charges it with energy, and the King of Curses starts to feel the same ominous aura that Mahito did during the Shibuya incident, the kind that makes you feel like prey to an unleashed predator. Sukuna tries to preempt Yuji's incoming strike, but he suddenly feels his head move to the side as his attention becomes locked on someone far away. It's LaRue, and he's just used his adorably named technique called Cutie Honey on Sukuna, which forces its target to focus on him and him alone. This causes the King of Curses to be entirely preoccupied as Yuji lands his own massive black flash right at his chest. It's a direct hit, and the chapter closes with Yuji standing at the ready in front of his opponent, and the narration tells us readers that he's finally arrived. Our thoughts and theories about Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 256. Chapter 256 of Akutami Sensei's hit shonen series provides us with an amazing payoff from the previous issue's setup. In addition to that, we're just happy that JJK is back to its fast-paced roots after basically stalling for a few issues until its 255th installment. Even better, there's the mind-blowing reveal that Yuji can use piercing blood. Honestly though, this poses a whole lot more questions. For one, does it mean that Yuji shares the blood of Oji Noritoshi Kamo to some extent? Remember, Kenjaku is basically Yuji's mom, considering he possessed her body, which ultimately led to his birth. But again, that's Kenjaku, not Oji Noritoshi. If this is the case, then it might imply that apart from having the ability to possess people's bodies, Kenjaku has the power to carry over the techniques or even the DNA of the bodies that he has possessed before. If not, then this just implies that inherited techniques can be copied, since the reason that Choso can perform blood manipulation techniques is due to his Kamo heritage. Then again, this has already been confirmed way back in Jujutsu Kaisen 0 when Yuta Okatsu not only successfully copied Toji's curse speech, an inherited curse technique from the Inumaki clan, but even increased its potency. Phew, Gege Akutami has a lot to answer for, so let's hope these plot threads aren't left hanging by the end of Jujutsu Kaisen's run. In any case, we can't wait to see what will happen in the next chapter, and it's too bad that we'll have to be on our toes longer than usual, as Akutami-sensei is taking a 1-week break after this. What do you think will happen in the Shinjuku showdown next? And what are your theories about Yuji's newfound bloodbending abilities? Sound off in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell to be the first to see our videos. We'll catch you in the next one.